that's right. Good afternoon, everybody. Hey, I'm Ann Eller. Right here with you, sitting across the table from me this afternoon, is Mayor Welborn Adams from the great city of New York. The great city of Greenwood, South Carolina. So how are you doing today, Mayor?
I'm doing wonderful, thank you.
Very good, very good. Well, you know, there's a lot of conversation swirling about to change or not to change the plaques on the World War Monument. And I guess my first question to you, since I believe you are in favor of changing them, is that correct?
Yes, definitely.
Yes, okay. And I guess my first question would be, what brought about this? What made you decide that this is something that should be done?
I guess 7 or 8 years ago, people started bringing it to my attention. And to be honest with you, even though I'm born and raised in Greenwood, wasn't aware of it. But after that point, I did notice the term colored on the monuments. And since then, since I became elected mayor, a number of people have brought it to my attention. And so it became a cause of mine.
Mm-hmm. I understand that you felt that the media was unfair to us on that fact.
Right. There have been some national news, which, when national news organizations come to Greenwood, they don't spend a ton of time trying to get to know our community. So if they see something like that, it's easy to focus on. They'll take their cameras over there, take the picture, and say, "Here it is. This is how this town thinks." So.
Except, did they walk around the corner and see the rest of the wars after 1948, where that became where Truman changed the law and integrated the military, and then from that point forward, it never was done that way again.
Right, and they don't. You're not getting a full segment when the national media comes here. They're looking for the quickest, easiest way to tell the story.
So is it the media that are driving what we're doing here?
Definitely not. That's definitely not the media that's driving it. That is one aspect of what is happening. But I think the right thing to do is to remember those soldiers alphabetically. Even
though in Arlington Cemetery it's marked that way.
Even though it's marked that way in Arlington Cemetery.
Okay. And what about the fact that the argument that we're changing history?
I don't think we're changing history at all. Those soldiers died in the cause, and we're not changing at all the fact that they died and gave the biggest sacrifice they could give. That we're still recognizing all those soldiers. So we are not changing history.
But you're changing a monument that was put up at that time with that.
Yeah, you're right. Changing a monument. Monuments are changed. They fall in disrepair. You change monuments as time goes on. But, I don't think we're changing the historical facts of what happened. And that is what I think you need to be aware of.
Well, I think that monuments actually, we have a law in South Carolina that states we're not supposed to change monuments or alter them.
Yeah, on state property. This is city property.
No, it really has to do with any property.
This is city property that was put up by the post-20 American Legion. So it's their property, in my opinion. And since it's their property, if they are in agreement to change it, then we'll change it.
But are they in agreement? Because actually the law states that unless every person in that organization is for that, then it cannot be changed. And actually there's up to a $5,000 fine and up to 3 years of imprisonment if that is changed. So, I mean, how can you say that is everybody in Post 20? Because I've talked to Post 20 and I don't see where they all are, that they have anything written or that they are 100% in agreement, because I've talked to so many of them and many of them are not.
I've been talking to Dale Kittles, who, when this first came about, was informed me of the vote where he had the majority. And
which vote was that? Was that for the whole organization, or was that the executive committee?
And You should probably talk to Dale Kittles about this.
Well, I've talked to Terry Weeks, and I've talked to Mr. Wheeler, and I have talked to several of them, and there doesn't seem to be. There's no document. There's no vote that says that this was. In fact, I understand at Monday night's meeting that they actually ended up tabling it because it was so disagreeable.
That was not my understanding from the meeting on Monday. We are, of course, going to have Post 20 at the ceremony. A representative will be speaking at Post 20. I know that they are going to take the plaques as they exist now and put them into the Veterans Museum, and I think that's a great place for them.
But aren't we altering something that's not supposed to be altered?
I don't think so at all.
I mean, I guess you probably have read the statute and everything.
Yes, I have.
You have. And so even though the state's attorney has opinions on this, have you followed up with those out of curiosity?
I have looked at the opinions. Opinions are not law. I've spoken with our state senators. They're in support. I've spoken with a judge circuit judge who's in support. So, I'm prepared to move forward.
Okay, so you are anticipating, I guess, putting these up on the Martin Luther King's birthday?
Yes, correct. I couldn't think of a better time to do it.
Okay. All right, so your opinion is that this is okay, and even though not everyone in the American Legion Post 20 is in agreement on this, you don't see any problem?
Yeah, if the officers of Post 20 came to me and said they were opposed to it, then certainly we would have a problem. My understanding from talking to the representative, Dale Kittles, is they are in agreement.
Okay. Okay, well, I mean, and so changing history does not bother you. Changing the fact that those have been there and were put up in 1929 does not matter. Changing history matters. Changing how the history is told, I think that's more of where we are here. If you're going to tell history in a segregated matter, then and you could tell history in an integrated matter. I think you should tell history in an integrated matter because we are in an integrated society. We at one point had a colored entrance to the community theater. I don't think we should keep that up either. But
so we didn't.
But that's not a monument either, Welborn.
It's a city building.
Well, at that point, I don't think it was a city building, was it? No, it wasn't. Back then, it wasn't.
I believe it may have been. It was a community theater, so I'd have to check.
But I think it was. But still, So you just feel it's okay to do this now? Aren't we though supposed to remember from history? Aren't we supposed to learn from history?
We're definitely supposed to remember history. That's the purpose of the monument, is to remember these soldiers who gave their lives, and that's certainly what we'll be doing.
But and you don't think the fact that as you walk around the monument that you can see that things changed, and that maybe that you wouldn't necessarily have to change the plaques, that possibly a plaque could have been put up, or a signage that said before 1948 this was proper, now this is proper, and so that we all continue to learn from this?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's been
I think
some of
if that's the way you have to learn, and then Lord help you, I think, you should definitely.
Well, the history books certainly are changing things, aren't they, Welborn? History is certainly being rewritten in some aspects.
How do you mean?
Well, the textbooks and everything, the different slants and everything. I mean, this is in the news all the time about the slant of history books and things being omitted and things becoming shorter and shorter in one aspect and longer in other aspects. So, from that standpoint, it is a point of reference.
Well, there's always different ways to tell history.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you don't think that leaving them there, even if the majority, right now we have a poll going on our website, just for the record, that anybody can go to, and right now it is I think it is 60 to 70% for leaving it alone, 35% for changing it.
You don't
think maybe it would have been better to have had a discussion or formed a committee or something to let people decide this, if you want to be fair and balanced about
I
it?
do not. You know, I'm an elected official, you know, and I'm going to do what I think is best for our city, which is, you know, 42% white, 42% African American. You know, I'm going to try to represent everyone as the best I can. You know, I've had overwhelming support from the community. You know, by far, you know, 43 different people have contributed to the funds which were raised. Yeah, that's an amazing number to me. That 43%, 43 persons in the city of Greenwood.
43%. That's a different story there, Welborn.
43% would be about that. But 43 people felt strongly enough about this to write a check. I mean, that's it, putting your money where your mouth is. Very encouraging.
How much did you contribute?
I contributed $1,000.
$1,000? Mm-hmm. And you had to raise how much?
We had to raise 15.
15. Mm-hmm. And the plaques are already done?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right. Well, you know, I just think that there's maybe a little bit more to this than just the fact of where we're just changing it. So you just feel because you're the mayor that it's okay to change because you're looking out for the best interest of our community. Is that right?
I think that's a little broad way to, you know, I think when you are the mayor, you have to look out for everyone's interest, for sure. But, you know, I didn't, like I said, this is the America Post 20's plaque. So, you know, if Post 20 hadn't given me the consent, I would not have gone forward.
Okay. And now that they have some question about to do or not to do, now that it has raised the bar on it, you still think it should go forward?
My representatives from Post 20 are telling me to go forward, so we are going forward.
Okay. All right. Well, that sounds good. You know, I just have one question for you. Why does the NAACP keep their name the NAACP if it's so offensive?
You know, that's a totally different subject.
No, it's not. I mean, the word colored is offensive and everything. I mean, you know.
You know, I think you would have to discuss that with someone who represents the NAACP, which would be a great idea to have, you know, a representative come on this program. You could talk to them about that.
Well, I'm just saying that if colored is such a detriment to our community.
You know, I think it would have been a detriment to divide the names up in any way. You know, I would want to have them alphabetical.
You would want to have them alphabetical. And so you're standing by your statement. You think if history offends people, it needs to be rewritten if possible. I mean, that's what you said in the Index Journal article. Right.
You know, and like I guess to clarify that would be, I don't think you can really change history. What you can change is the way history is presented. And so, you know, that is what we're doing.
So if it makes it more palatable, regardless of how it was at that time, we should do it.
And I don't know that palatable is really the term here. What we're doing is we're putting names in alphabetical order. So, you know, I would say that's just the correct way to do it.
By your interpretation.
Yeah.
By your interpretation, yeah.
The normal interpretation. I mean, that's the way it's done on the other monuments. So, I mean, that's, you know.
What do you mean?
Korea and Vietnam monuments.
But that's only because the forces, the military was integrated. Before that, it was separate. So it was in 1948, and that's the beauty of the monument, is the fact that it shows the change from before 1948 to after 1948, and that was actually President Truman that made that order.
That's the beauty to you, I guess you would say. You know, you got to understand that it offends other people.
Yes, it offends some, but there are plenty that it doesn't offend. And I mean, you know, this morning I was called a racist. So, I mean, you know, this is what I was called this morning because I was trying to bring this to just a conversation for everybody. I don't consider myself a racist, but I was called a racist.
I mean, what are you bringing this up for?
No, I'm just bringing it up because it is a very divisive subject. That's why I'm bringing it up.
It's definitely a divisive subject, and that's why, you know, I'm hoping we can come to a resolution here and have a great ceremony because, you know, so many people have come forward, like I said, giving their money, giving their support, called me, and you know, I've gotten hugs and thanks, and you know, it's been a really heartwarming process, and so you know, I feel great that we're having a community that's moving forward. You know, you look at what's happened in the last year, you look at Ferguson, and it's so much divisiveness out there that it's great to see a community come together to do something positive.
Something positive by changing the monuments, by changing the placards.
Right, that's a positive thing.
That's a positive thing. Okay. All right, so no problem as far as that. You feel it's a good thing. You're going ahead with it, and from that day forward, the pieces, the placards may end up in the museum. They may not end up in the museum.
They're definitely going to the museum.
They're
Yeah.
definitely going to the museum. Okay. Okay, and the very fact that there may be some people in the American Legion that do not support this, and it could turn into a legal issue, does not concern you.
It always concerns you, but I mean, I think you have to look at doing the right thing. You know, as Martin Luther King Jr. said, time is always right to do the right thing.
So even though there could be a court case and jail time and this type of thing, it doesn't affect the fact that you actually, in some aspects, because I know there are some people that are not for this in the American Legion, would actually take offense and could step forward and say that this shouldn't happen, since it is the property of the American Legion.
Right. I mean, that could happen.
Okay. And when this first started, was this really about cleaning the monument and upkeep on the monument?
No, it was not.
It wasn't?
Not mine. Never for me.
Never for you? Are you all going to clean the monument and spruce it up and everything?
Yes, we will.
I mean, that's part of that $15,000 that you raised?
Right.
Was to do that?
Right.
Okay. Because I thought it was just for the plaques.
You know, it will be cleaned up, spruced up, and it should look great. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Okay, but that's what I'm saying. So it is going to be clean. Now, what about the other plaques that are up there that are from the Vietnam and whatnot? But they're of course not going to be as, I guess, pristine as these new ones will be. Will those be cleaned?
No, those will stay as they are. You know, the idea we've been working with local ROMAC is to design the plaques. It takes a lot of time, and you know, he's doing the best he can to have them look similar to the way they were. Same style, the flourishes, you know, the embellishments and that.
And are they bronze?
Yeah, they're same style.
Yeah. But are they bronze? They're bronze material?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, I just, I think there's a lot of questions out there. A lot of people didn't understand how this came about. And since we started investigating this and finding out, we certainly have learned a lot about what is going on and how it goes on here in our community. So it's been an interesting experience to find this out. I am glad to hear that if things change, it's okay to change them. I'm glad to see that you're looking at this as you're the person that is capable of doing this. Did you do this as officially as a mayor or for the city or as an individual? Or
as the mayor.
As the mayor.
Yeah.
So it was okay for this to come back through the city, even though the city was not on board with this, were they?
The city is on board with this, yeah. I mean,
the city council voted on this or had some...
Right. We've had discussion about it, and I've notified them. Yes.
So, but you didn't actually vote on it or anything.
Right.
I mean,
you know, it's not city. You know, as I said, it's the post-20s plaque. So.
Okay. All right. Well, that's what we wanted to know here today, and a lot of people have had questions. If you have a question, you want to give us a call while I've got the mayor here for a few more minutes, give us a call, 229-7984. That's 229-7984. Give us a call. Let us know what you think. I think there's been a lot of discussion about this, and it looks like it is going to come to a close on the 19th of January when the mayor and Post 20, whether they all are on board or not, doesn't seem to matter here, is going to make sure that those are changed. So how about give us a call, 229-7984. That's 229-7984. We're going to hear a quick word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
Gold. Gold. More precious than any other time in history. Do you have gold? Do you need cash? Then bring it to SFG. That's Sharp Facets Gallery, 1220 Bypass 72 Greenwood. Telephone 229-6613. Don't forget, we buy diamonds too. Paying the highest prices for your gold and diamonds at Sharp Facets Gallery.
Oh, that's right. We're right back here, Sharp Facets Gallery. You know, Mayor, there were a lot of comments that were written in the newspaper. Did you see any of these comments that were written in the Index Journal?
No, I haven't read any comments.
You haven't read any comments. Wow. Okay, and nobody has been negative about it. It's all been positive?
I received a letter from Williams, Eric Williams, the only person I've heard from.
The only person that said that it's not a good idea, or we ought to think about it, or maybe some more people could get involved in it, or...
Yeah, he's the only one I've heard from on the negative side. On the positive side, I've heard, you know, I do a segment called The Minute with the Mayor, and I've gotten a lot of really positive feedback from that segment that I did. Mm-hmm. And a lot of fundraising from that.
Yeah, I know. I've seen it on Greenwood Calendar. And even the newspaper on the 20th, we learn from history, but we cannot change it. I mean, there have been a lot of on the other side here. I mean, there's been a lot of comments coming in from, in fact, that's where this statute actually is the first place I saw about this statute about protection of certain monuments and memorials. No Revolutionary War, War of 1812, Mexican War, War between the states, Spanish-American, World War I, World War II, Korean, Vietnam, etc., or monuments or memorials erected on private public property of the state of or any of its political subdivisions may be relocated, removed, disturbed, or altered. And so that's where I first saw about it. And then somebody wrote, "Give me 10 minutes with a grinder, problem solved, and $15,000 saved." That was a little crass, but but the fact that somebody else said, rewrite history if it offends somebody, so we rewrite the American Revolution because it offends the Brits. We rewrite the American Civil War because it offends Yankees and rebels. I mean, there have been a lot of comments on the other side of this, too. So that's, I guess, why I'm surprised that nobody has said anything to you. So I guess I'm the second person to bring it up, huh?
Yes, you are. Negatively.
I'm not really being negative. I'm trying to be get all sides out here because there is such an undercurrent, and if you haven't heard any of this, I'm just very surprised.
Yeah, I haven't heard it.
You haven't heard it, and you haven't heard that the meeting over there at the Post 20 Monday night was a lot of contention back and forth. In fact, when it was even brought up that they needed to, if this was their position, they needed to put it in writing and have some proclamation that was, that it was just all out, almost, not war, but all out. A lot of people were upset.
It
blows your mind, huh?
Yeah.
Not to put words in your mouth.
Well, Dale Kittles told me that that he was planning to be there to represent Post 20, so we'll, looking forward to seeing him.
So is he the person that's going to speak from Post 20?
Yes, I believe he is.
Okay. Who else is scheduled to speak?
Well, Senator Nicholson's going to speak, as well as myself.
As yourself? Okay.
We're going to have the MRRTC will present colors, and we'll have the national anthem song.
Okay. All right. And what time is that going to be at?
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock on Monday afternoon. Okay, well, if you're not concerned about the law and it doesn't bother you that to be changing the monuments, and even though there's a lot of discussion about it, then I guess we probably don't have a lot else to discuss. I mean, I really wanted to give you the opportunity to give that opinion, but I also just wondered where you actually stood as far as any comments or anything that have come back. But since you haven't had any.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great day, and I'm looking forward to getting those new plaques up there. Okay,
and the fact that we are, to put your words, I think if history offends people, it needs to be rewritten as possible. It's just not a problem.
Right. The history happened. We're changing how we present it. So.
Changing how we present it. All right. Well, Mayor Welborn Adams, this is WCRS right here in Greenwood. I certainly appreciate you stopping by, and we wish you all the luck on Monday when you put those plaques up.
Thank you very much, Ann.
All right.